moly, are we all here? What up? Welcome to Real Life. This is crazy. How many people are avoiding their mom right now? This is nuts. I love my mother, who definitely listens to every single one of our shows. So thank you, Mom. Thank you, Mom, so much, who called me this morning and said to me, good morning, Sam. Don't you have something to say to me? Yes, I do, Mom. Aren't you glad I was born so you could celebrate this day? All right, so welcome to Real Life. I'm seeing tons of new faces. My name is Sam. I am a busybody, and that is all you need to know. We are in the Indiana Humanities building. Can everybody clap for Indiana Humanities? They're so great. If you think this building's dope, and if you're excited to be here for this kind of an event, donate to Indiana Humanities. Thank you. So Real Life Revised was conceived by myself and my dear friend John Strauss, who is the man with the microphones, just as a way for folks to get together, eat free food, and get like the tiniest snippet of the kind of work they're doing, probably in very disparate parts of Indiana. In this case, 2 of our featured readers came in from Muncie. So everybody's gonna get 5 minutes. That's featured readers and open micers. This event does not happen without free cheese. That is not free. It is provided by the Butler University MFA in Creative Writing. Thank you so much, Butler. Our friends at Booth for all of their radical support. And WQRT puts the episodes out into the internet and on the radio. So thank you so much to WQRT. Oh, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. I always start Real Life with a poem or a piece of prose that is just like inside of me. And I was thinking about Mental Health Awareness Month, and I was thinking about moms. I went to Thomas Nealand, who's a local poet's workshop on reimagining ancestry a couple weeks ago. And I just started thinking about like matrilineal lineage and the poetics and the narratives that we miss, that we don't get. And when I think about mental health and poetry, there is only one poem for me, but it's a Gwendolyn Brooks poem that she never published. She only read it once to a room filled with high school students, which I think is wild. So this is To the Young Who Want to Die by Gwendolyn Brooks, and she wrote it in 1985, and it was never published in a collection. It's gone viral online a couple of times, and I just think it's interesting the things we lose because they're not published. So, To the Young Who Want to Die. Sit down, inhale, exhale. The gun will wait. The lake will wait. The tall gall in the small seductive vial will wait a week, will wait through April. You do not have to die this certain day. Death will abide, will pamper your postponement. I assure you death will wait. Death has a lot of time. Death can attend to you tomorrow or next week. Death is just down the street, is most obliging neighbor, can meet you any moment. You need not die today. Stay here. Through pout or pain or peskiness, stay here. See what the news is going to be tomorrow. Graves grow no green that you can ever use. Remember, green's your color. You are spring. Yeah, Gwendolyn Brooks. I'll put these on the back, and at some point after all of our readings today, if you want to have a look at it, please do. Okay, so now I am very pleased to introduce our first featured reader and poet of the day, who has been coming to Real Life for months and months and months and months, and always puts herself last on the open mic. So we are going to put her first. This is going to be Candice Cherry. And she recommends a capsule course in Black poetry writing by Broadside Press / Third World Press, featuring Gwendolyn Brooks, Dudley Randall, Haki Matabuti, and I will write these and leave this recommendation at the back. And now, sorry, I do have to tell people about the 5-minute rule and ring this bell. If somebody does go further than 5 minutes, we are going to ring a bell. And that's it. It's not that bad. It's just a little offensive. So if everybody would please help me welcome Candice Cherry.
Hello, my name is Candice. Really grateful to be here. This is actually my first feature in Indianapolis. Yeah, happy Mother's Day to those that celebrate and those who don't. I hope you take care of yourself. I do a lot of cool things in the world that I'm proud of, but poetry allows me to kind of strip those identities and just be a human among humans. So I'm just gonna read. I do have a YouTube channel at Hello Candace, and I'm on Insight Timer, which is a meditation app where I put some poetry. This first poem is titled, Questions I Ask Myself When I'm Alone. Can one person be responsible for loving the entirety of who I am? If so, how? How can one person be responsible for loving the constellation of who I am? Have I learned to love the tapestry of me, the visible parts and the ones still coming to be? I ain't a fairy tale. I'm a raging sea crashing against a calm shoreline. I am the shoreline. Holding a sea of shells as smooth rocks bend towards the sun, smiling at the sound of waves that meet sandy footprints while African djembe drums respond to the call. I am all these things. I am none of these things. What if in every chapter of life I stayed present to the mosaic of love unfolding within ordinary moments? Ordinary moments open doorways to love, like watching you watch me read this poem, like the kind eyes of friends and the smile of a stranger, like the power in community and the tenderness of possibility, like the boldness of blackness and the laughter of a child, like the growth of prayer plants bowing to the steadiness of trees or the moves of the spirit I cannot foresee. These days, children need a village to raise them, and these days, raised adults need a village to love them. So, where is my village of love? I mean, who else beyond myself is meant, I said meant to be in my village of love? And what happens when that village of love changes, when the intersection of our paths diverge so deeper parts of our souls can emerge, or life demands I escort you out or let you walk away because neither of us knew how long our bond was destined to stay? So tell me how? How can one person be responsible for loving the entirety of who I am? One person cannot, and neither can I. Thank you. This next poem is called Maddie Campbell's Blues. Maddie Campbell is a character in August Wilson's play, Joe Turner Come and Gone, which takes place in the year 1910, 1911. And I had just taken a blues poetry writing workshop in February, and I went to see this play at the Indiana Repertoire Theater, and this character's story jumped out to me. And so to process it, I wrote a poem in her voice. So this is Maddie Campbell's Blues. My lover ran off and ain't coming back. My lover done run off and ain't coming back. Ain't never had no man stay. Even when I pray, I say, God, make his feet say my name on the road. I let a new man keep me company until my lover come back. Every time I let a new man keep me company until my lover come back. I let a snake slide inside me and shed layers of who he is just so I ain't gotta feel what actually is. I buried both my children way back. Yes, I buried both my children way back. A mother's pain don't know which way to go, but still, my heart sings even when I'm low. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Thank you. And so I'm going to end in some haiku. Thank you. I'm a haiku homegirl. And so here's some haiku. Detroit streets raised her. She raised me. Must be some Detroit in me. Try me. Feet pressed firm in the soil, heavy hips sway like wind, the spirit moves me. She beat him like they beat Jesus, saw her father in his eyes, bloodshed. Mom supported me in the ways that she knew how. She gave what she had. God's gift to you be you, a gumbo, jollof, jambalaya, unwrapped. When I take my last breath, I hope the poetry of my life applauds. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Candace. Our next reader today is going to be Susan Lerner, and her one-sentence book or art recommendation is Billy Pilgrim and the Earthlings. Everyone, please clap for Susan Lerner.
Well, happy crass commercial holiday where we make a big deal once a year about Mother's Day, everyone. I'm not a fan of feeling forced to participate in this cultural decision around mothers. a delusion around mothers, that I have had or that I am a perfect, all nurturing, Carol Brady-esque kind of mother, and that if, like me, your mother is dead, today is the day that we should remember them. All this complicates the fact that I pretty much made it my life's project to unremember my mother. Here's a short list of things about my mother I try to remember, to unremember. Her leaving over and over, whether from home or from some unknown place where people I didn't know, but she called friends, took care of me. The cult she joined, named Subud, and its leader, named Bapak. My mother's new name after Bapak convinced her to legally change it from Betty to Edith. The psych ward where my father took me to visit Edith. The foster homes where all the kids I didn't know bathed and slept with me. Even then, as a preschooler, my anxiety swirled, a blinding blizzard. Maybe Betty Edith, or whoever she was at the time, came to mothering with high hopes, but I'll never know. My father took full custody of me, and even after my mother's life smoothed out a bit, we never spoke about any of that, not even once. In my eyes, she was not really a mother, maybe an unmother. I think it was the unmothering that led me to isolate myself and construct a hard shell around me. I had to preempt any sort of connection with anyone so as to prevent any possibility of disappointment. I saw the kids and mothers around me, the parties, the sleepovers, other mothers slicing bananas for snacks. I wouldn't have wanted it even if I had been invited. None of that was for me. I don't think you need me to tell you how easily unmothered kids can become prey. So many predators out there, probably all of us unmothered, both predator and prey. But still, of course, the predatory character here is an uncle, and of course I kept what he did to me a secret for a really long time. Even as I say this, I'm thinking about how this narrative is just so commonplace. An uncle, for God's sake, it's almost cliche, almost a trope, almost an unstory. I'm glad about one thing about my inability to unremember, which is that there is one memory I absolutely have to hold on to, which is why I make a 4-hour drive to St. Louis every month to visit my Aunt Barbara. And just to be clear, she is not the wife of the predatory uncle. When I finally did tell my extended family about this uncle, it was only Aunt Barbara who actually believed me. She was the only person in the family to love and support me through that terrible time when the family, including my own parents, shunned me. I've heard it said that kids can survive all manner of life challenges if they have just one person who truly is on their side. And at 95, Aunt Barbara no longer remembers that she was my one person. She doesn't even remember my name. In my fantasy of a perfect Mother's Day, I'd spend the day with my mother, despite that she's been dead for 35 years. This revivified mother would be able to sit down across from me, look me in the eye, and earnestly tell me about her life and how she felt about me and our difficult and underdeveloped relationship. Maybe she'd tell me about the kind of mother she'd hoped to be, and in this fantasy, I too would open up. I'd tell her that even though I had convinced everyone, including myself, that I didn't want anyone or need any help or even love, that I've secretly always wished that I had that memory with her of holding her hand, a kiss on my forehead. I'd also spend part of my fantasy Mother's Day with Aunt Barbara, Aunt Barbara before her brain betrayed her, so I could tell her what it meant to me, that she stepped up to be my one person. What she did pulled me out of the dark waters of despair. I'm glad I haven't unremembered my Aunt Barbara of the 60s, how I stood in her kitchen, surrounded by colorful Marimekko designs on the wallpaper, or Aunt Barbara's teased beehive hairdo and her thick coral lipstick, or the melody that was and actually still is her voice, those Midwestern vowels honeyed with a little bit of Southern twang. Aunt Barbara, now with teased old lady hair and tattooed eyeliner, still gives suburban housewife. And she still has that music in her voice, even when she asks, "What's your name again, honey?" Mother's Day is just so complicated. It brings me memories, both terrifying and beautiful, which I guess is pretty much life. I plan to keep trying to remember, both remember and to unremember. My fantasy Mother's Day is fiction, but maybe you're one of those people who don't need a fantasy version. Maybe there's a simple, easy way to celebrate Mother's Day. And if you figure it out, let me know.
This series was called Real Life Revised, with a heavy emphasis on the revised, because we cared about when we set it up, storytelling that emphasized like care and craft and sitting with the story, and also it is real life, revised. It is very much so people getting up here and saying really hard and true things, revised. I am honored to be here every time somebody gets on the mic and says something real. Occasionally we have a fiction writer, but that's real in a different way. Speaking of very real things, I got to see this writer at Golden Hour a couple weeks ago for a Q&A, and that conversation has been rattling around in my mind since, so I'm very glad that she could join us today. This is going to be Jill Christman and her one-sentence book art recommendation. As the editor of River Teeth, which is a journal of nonfiction narrative and the online micro-essay magazine, she has to encourage you to go to riverteethjournal.com. As a serial memoirist with a brand new memoir, The Heart Folds Early, which is Jill's third memoir, please see jillchrisman.com. Everybody clap for Jill Christman.
Thank you so much, Sam. I have so many things I want to say, but I have no time to say them. So I will tell you that I'm going to read from this book, which is a lot about motherhood. It is also fundamentally a book about what it means to make a choice. So I will let you think about that. I'm looking around this room. I had 3 choices. I feel like there's a lot of people in this room who were saved by their high school English teacher in some way. Yeah, I actually really was, okay? So this comes in a chapter called Feminist Fury, an interlude. It's just a little moment of feminist fury. After the part where I say the patriarchy teaches us to capitulate, smooth over, hide. Most damaging, the patriarchy teaches us to stay silent. The patriarchy discourages real healing because healed humans want bodily autonomy. Healed humans want their power back. Okay, so this is about a boyfriend I had in high school, much older than I was. I had no business being in that relationship. Rural Washington, you with me? On Fridays, when Jay can clock out early from the mill, he's waiting for me outside the high school, leaning against the gleaming Jeep, holding a bouquet of grocery store flowers. This doesn't feel like a John Hughesian romantic gesture to me. Even in the moment, even at 16, I recognize Jay's performance as the equivalent of spraying my backpack with urine. I don't know how to talk to him about this, but I do begin to recognize the value of my body in the marketplace called life in rural Washington state. I flirt with what feels like a growing power. I practice cruelty. Don't bring me carnations, I tell him, tossing the hideous fake pink things into the back of the Jeep with a crinkle of cellophane that sounds like a burst of flame. They're fake flowers. They remind me of cheerleaders. I want sunflowers or roses. Everyone thinks I will marry him. Jay, this boy man I've been dating for 3 whole years by the time I graduate from high school. But I know I won't. I always know I won't. I'm getting out of this hick town and I'm going to college, and no way I'm taking him with me. No way. When my mom and my grandmother have to sell our house and move away a few months before I'm finished with school and my summer job running a camp for preschoolers in the town park, we all decide the best solution is for me to move in with Jay. Do we think this was the best solution? No, we know it wasn't. Okay, I'm already enrolled at the University of Oregon, so this temporary cohabitation plan feels okay enough until the first night I spend in his cramped, skunky house in the shadow of a Safeway. He wakes me up at dark 30 and tells me I need to get up, make him biscuits and gravy, and pack a lunch for him. I think this is a joke. I laugh and roll towards the wall to go back to sleep. Pack your lunch? No way. Jay doesn't find my refusal funny. He tells me this is part of the deal. If I'm living under his roof, there are rules. I don't give in, but his rage scares me. Without eating breakfast, Jay leaves for the mill, the wheels of his Jeep spinning furiously in the gravel outside the bedroom window. I get up, pack up the single cardboard box I'd brought in the night before, and head to the park for morning circle with my preschoolers. Little bunny foo-foo went hopping through the forest. At lunchtime, with nowhere else to go, I drive to the place that's most familiar to me, my high school. Grace herself is waiting to receive me in the form of my English teacher, Miss Chase. She listens to my story and looks at me with level-headed clarity. She seems neither surprised nor alarmed by what I consider to be a humiliating, reluctant child bride story. From her on that afternoon, I feel no judgment. Well, she says, when I finish telling her about the empty lunchbox and the spinning tires, I have a spare room. Come live with me. What? It's nothing fancy, but it has a bed and a closet. She says this casually, as if the invitation is nothing to her, as if she takes in wayward teenagers all the time. Really? Sure, she says. Of course. Miss Chase doesn't make it into some big dramatic moment. She has a spare room. She isn't using it. I can live there for the summer until I head off to college. No rent, no strings, no big deal. This kindness alters the course of my life. What Miss Chase gives me that afternoon, in the summer of 1987, is the capacity to consent, or to withhold my consent. Thank you.
That was a marketing trick. I rang it early because there's books for sale in the back. No, I didn't. I gave her 5.10. But that was incredible. Books are for sale in the back of the room. Our next reader today is going to be Caden Crouch, and their book, our recommendation is great. All of these are great. This is really special great. It's the painting Anchor Baby by Nazreen Khan, who's also a poet and writer that I think is at Newfields right now, right? Yeah. It's super at Newfields. They say it's absolutely breathtaking. Everyone, clap for Caden.
Hello. I'm going to stay on theme. I'm going to read some poems about motherhood. This first one I started this morning and finished it when I got here. So this is titled Motherhood. This Mother's Day, as I make French toast and pastries for my mom, sitting at her kitchen table, humming Olivia Dean and talking about how I've been collecting vintage kitchenware to replicate my childhood home, my heart is heavy as I think about the other mothers in our country. The mothers sitting in detainment, concentration camps, their only crime the color of their skin. The mothers who came to this country for a better life for their children, only to have them ripped away from them. The mothers who have died in childbirth because our healthcare system neglects them, does not listen to or care for them. The mothers mourning their children, taken from them at the hands of those sworn to serve and protect. The mothers forced into motherhood, their right to choose stripped from them. My heart is with the mothers in other countries burying their children, the mothers buried under rubble of our causing. As I hug my mother and kiss her forehead before I leave to go back home, I think of these other mothers and wish I could hug them and kiss their foreheads too on this Sunday and every Sunday after. Thank you. This one was from Thomas Nealon's poetry challenge for April, was to write an ode to the matriarch of your family. So this is called Rhododendron. Mama, you were the ground beneath my feet, solid, sure, soil, nutrients, and discipline, and fear and love. You were the constant in the chaos, the support and chauffeur to countless sports and practices and school, the eye of the storm of bad days and poor moods. You were the strict hand, stern voice, soft shushes to hush sobs from your hand, plastic spatula in hand to switch up a bad attitude to backhand back talk. You are love and fear of disappointing you by not being the only granddaughter anymore, instead the only queer grandchild. You are a warm hug to dissipate fear, a soft hand on my back to take back any harm done, a whisper of love and reassurance. Mama, you are the matriarch, the monarch butterfly of my life. You are the blood and the womb and the water and the way of life. Thank you. And then I'm gonna end by reading some blackout poetry I've been doing recently, because they're all connected and I think they're very relevant. So the title is What Happens to a Fire Detained? Discoveries found, memory only, evidence slackened, not functioning, no lawyers, no judges, a long wait, handcuffed and guarded, taken, surrendered any basic name. A quick breath, cage, a shelter, cage, a guard, cage, prisoners, an enclosure, disbelief owned and locked, cage, enforcement unprecedented, elaborate storm, cage, dogs, cage. Shadows dance and cry, a communion of death, the edge in our hearts, shadows, a quiet fire, so intimate. The moment receded, the beauty disappeared, the fire silently departed, plummeted, memories dozing, absolutely nothing left. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Caden. Our next reader today is going to be Erin Thomas, who you may have seen on Instagram as A. Thomas Poetry. Easier to remember, all of those things. Their one-sentence book and art recommendation is going to be Every Exit Brings You Home by Naeem. I got to see Erin at, where's David Strange? All the way in the back. At David Strange's gig, which is at Chatterbox on the second Thursday of every month. So if you want to go to the Chatterbox for poetry and prose now, go to Listen Please on the second Thursday of every month. I got to see Erin there 2 months ago? 2 months ago. David's sets at Listen Please are longer. So Erin Thomas, are you prepared to do a much tighter, more powerful set than you've ever done before? Excellent. Everybody clap for Erin Thomas.
So the first poem is a found poem fusion. The first paragraph is notes from other people posted at Yoko Ono's My Mommy is Beautiful exhibit at Museum of Contemporary Art in Chicago. And this is entitled My Mother Is, dedicated to all mothers on this Mother's Day, working moms, single moms, TV moms, and mothers passed on. From the exhibit. My mother is a complex woman. My mother is crazy, beautiful, smart, and loving. For the mother I found, I may not be your blood, but you love me as your own, without judgment. That is enough. For the mother I lost, you were everything I wanted to be, everything I needed. My mother was once a girl too. On Mondays, my mother is Kate, overwhelmed and distracted by all life has vomited on her plate on an overnight bus back to me. On Tuesdays, my mother is Myra, whose endless eccentricity and costumes uplift even the most dire debacle. On Wednesdays, my mother is Annie, a model of resilience in the face of a divorce. On Thursdays, my mother is Georgia, a one-woman powerhouse of her own magazine. On Fridays, my mother is Val, a Valkyrie, slayer of injustice, and voice of the downtrodden. On Saturdays, my mother is Eva, a first-class lesson in etiquette and travel curator of high culture. On Sundays, my mother is Faye, because her faith in me never went bankrupt. My mother is my aunt, my sister. A stranger on the bus, I find bits and pieces of her scattered. In those who are kind, in a smile, in an embrace, in a listening ear. In them, in every woman, the best parts of my mother will live on. And the second poem is after Debussy's Clair de Lune, and it's entitled A Midsummer's Night Longing. In the dimming summer light, I catch fireflies in a mason jar, only to release them back into the night sky where they become stars. The ripples of the reservoir reverberate your laughter from distant shore, your dimples, soft peaks as you smile. In the field, I pluck blades of grass and dandelion puffs, if only to watch you dance again, your body twirling and spinning effortlessly as the wind carries you away. The cricket's violins awaiting my cue as I compose you a love song, and they play into the night in hopes of your return. But as the sun pulls back its black velvet blanket to rest a while, I climb out of my bedroom window onto the roof to look for you in the beyond. Warm shingles grate my feet while I hug my knees, remembering our last embrace. Overhead, thunderclouds rumble with regret, and for a moment, I hear your voice echo in the empty cavern of my chest.
Thank you so much, Aaron. I love Aaron's work because you can always feel it, the black velvet night, the fluffy dandelions. I love that. Our next reader is going to be Fifi, and her one-sentence book art recommendation is The Big C, which is Langston Hughes' autobiography. So everybody, please, so much applause for Fifi.
Hello, everyone. My name is Fifi. This is my first time at Real Life Revised, so I'm really happy to be here. I'm going to read one poem. I wrote this poem based on a spoken word bit by one of my favorite poets. His name is Ahmad Shukri. And in the poem, he talks about where he's from. And we come from different places, so I just changed the words and the content to make it my own. But I kept some of the structure and some of the rhythm the same. I'm from where people speak with grins and mountain air breathes, needle thin. Where generations are buried in the same village cemetery, 4 names each and who they married. I'm from that cumbia in every step, guacharaca and triple septet. Dancers wave hats and skirts in movements smooth and abrupt. And everyone's got a reason for why the government stays corrupt. I'm from where juice is sweet and fresh from fruits, and jokes are meant to tell the truth, and no two arepas are ever the same, just like the people from every background and history and color and fame, and everything is shared. like festivities and pain. I'm from where graffiti on walls heal deep wounds of shame, and ancient gold bleeds from mountain veins, where legends and stories keep us alive, and family figures fight to provide. I'm from where people's dreams are worldwide, and go way beyond the country where they reside, because home is beautiful, but it can't sustain us, and so they leave by any means, although it pains us. Gotta get away, can't stay. They just pray for better days.
No, you can do louder than that. Let's go, Fifi. What? That was crazy. That was incredible. I'm so sorry. I know, like, I have fumbled all day on my phone and with papers and all the things. No paper, no phone. That was memorized. That's crazy. Thank you, Fifi. That was incredible. Our next writer came all the way down from Muncie. Thank you so much. So it's going to be Kathy Day. And right now, the one-sentence book art recommendation is James by Percival Everett, which I think is a novel. Yes, 100%. Kathy Day, are you prepared for a 5-minute tight set? Everybody welcome Kathy Day.
Hi, everybody. I'm working on a book right now that will probably be billed as some kind of college to career book for students, but I hope that it will become the bird by bird of career advice books. And so I'm going to be reading from a little bit of that. It's called College Material. I was a first-generation college student who got a full ride scholarship to an excellent liberal arts college, DePaul University, by the way. That school gave me more knowledge and more lenses through which to view this world than my ancestors ever dreamed. I'm the descendant of cabinet makers and small farmers and milkmen and firemen and a long line of homemakers. No woman in my family had ever had anything like a career. Few of them ever had jobs outside the home. Some didn't finish high school. They took in washing. They minded other women's children. When my parents graduated from high school in 1965, they weren't considered college material, but they told me that I was. But what I resent about my education is that nobody helped me go through the process that I go through with my students now in a class that I call Career Discovery. First, who are you? What are your VIPs, your values, your interests, your personality, your skills? Second, explore what's possible. English majors do lots more than teach and work as editors. Do some research. Talk to people you don't know already. Third, figure out how you can pivot in a few possible directions. Find out what you need to do to prepare for those possibilities. And 4, finally, apply strategically. Don't just show up at the campus parking lot of the labor market and see if there are any spaces there. Ask your parking lot posse to point you to the best open spots and swoop in. I didn't learn this process in college. But surely, you ask, my college had a career center. Oh, of course it did. And I went in once. The director asked me, would you like to live in Chicago after you graduate? Because we have a great alumni network there. And I walked out and I never went back. How preposterous. Chicago might well have been Zanzibar to me. Did my family have a car that could make it to Chicago? Until 1986, everyone in my family lived in Miami County, Indiana. This was true until the C&O Railroad pulled up stakes in Peru and left. And my dad said, well, I'm just a raggedy-ass old railroader. What else can I do? He couldn't imagine going through that 4-step process and figuring out, what am I good at? Answer, drinking beer, smoking cigarettes, working on cars, being an extremely likable and faithful friend, and telling the same 17 stories in slightly different but still amusing ways. And so he followed the railroad to Cincinnati, because what else could he do? At my college, people went to the library to study and for what we called then FaceTime. They gathered in the stairwells for hours-long study breaks of bourgeois sociability. I'd watch them all chattering away and I'd think, I'm gonna outwork all y'all. And I did. I've got the ulcers to prove it. But they still make more money than I do. Because what they were doing in those stairwells was part of the process. They were exploring, expanding their horizons, building social capital. I didn't know that's what I was supposed to be doing. I didn't talk to alumni. I didn't talk to people I didn't know, period. I thought my job in college was to get good grades. Lots of liberal arts faculty these days refuse to teach their students the process. There are many hills worth dying for in higher education, but this is not one of them. They say it's not our job to help students figure out what to do with their lives. They should just walk over to the Career Center. But do we think that students raised in a thick Midwestern soup of self-limiting beliefs will magically overcome a lifetime of cultural conditioning and act like people whose parents and grandparents went to college? What I resent about my education is that nobody told me that my identity as a writer needn't have anything to do with my day job. And in fact, it might be better for my writing if I pursued jobs that allowed me to do meaningful work while feeling mostly respected, supported, and properly compensated. What I needed as a writer was a day job with banker's hours and weekends off. What I resent about my education is that I was loosed upon the world with the blithe exhortation to make something of myself, just like my classmates, the sort that easily found professions thanks to a tip from a neighbor or a bit of role modeling from dad or those unpaid internships. That kind of college student, and me, the kind whose parents and grandparents had always worked for them. The kind who only knew people who worked in factories, hair salons, law enforcement, the railroad, and the service industry, whose grandfather was the janitor and the meanest bus driver at her grade school, who could not picture 90% of the jobs that she might have pursued because she didn't know that they even existed, who had never met a professional until she went to college intending to be a writer and she met her first real writers, and unfortunately for me, they were all college professors.
Have you ever seen a lecture in 5 minutes? That was unbelievable. Thank you so much, Kathy Day. Oh, yes. So Listen Please is at Chatterbox on the second Thursday of every month. Doors at 6:30 p.m., reading at 7. Michelle Neiman runs Nightjar, where there's one featured poet. Oh, and Chris Carrier as well. Michelle Neiman and Chris Carrier run that gig, which I literally learned today. And that gig's very different because it's one feature, and that feature comes up with a prompt, and then there's an open mic, which is amazing. More importantly, Michelle Neiman is our next reader today. She has a one-sentence book art recommendation. I don't like confining myself to one book recommendation. Okay, it's a critique. Her book art recommendation is a critique of the system. Okay. But I've just been reading, is it? Mina Loy. Oh, Mina Loy, who is a poet from the first half of the 20th century, and I love her. It's The Lost Lunar Baedeker, and that is Mina Loy. Would everybody please help me welcome Michelle Neiman?
Thank you so much, Sam. Thank you for explaining Nightjar, so I don't have to use part of my 5 minutes, but I'm still going to use part of my 5 minutes to say, come on May 20th. We're having Christy Maxwell, who teaches at University of Louisville, wonderful poet. She is promoting her 9th book, which came out last year, which is called Wide Ass of Night. Obviously, you have to be there. And the prompt is great. It's write a poem based on a walk and the things you encounter on it. So, yes, and I'm glad to finally be here at Real Life Revised sharing some work. So this is called Pink Lady Slipper. Hello, gorgeous. A slipper is not the part of a lady you remind me of, but I bet you get that all the time. Your bulbous, fleshy pillow with its central divot and meeting lips, your 3 hairy petals, or are they sepals, flying back like wings, and then that double-lobed button with its secret double-entry pocket. Do bumblebees slide in there and get trapped? Are you carnivorous like a pitcher plant? A sundew? My, what fuzzy teeth you have. May I call you Orchid dentata? You might say I've absorbed the ambient misogyny. I grew up more soaked in the stuff than I am now in Herbal Armor bug spray. Maybe I'm jealous of your good looks, your correct posture, your confidently seamed leaves, the demure bow of your head, humble though a knockout. If this were a Carpe Diem poem, I'd seize you now, or try to. Not content to marvel, I wouldn't stop till you were plucked and done. But I don't want to take you away with me, knowing you'd wilt more or less instantly. I want to stay here with you in these wooded dunes. I want to be the kind of woman only a flower can. Instead of destroying you or unbecoming me, I'll channel those men again, but change the end. You knock me out, baby, and I'll let you be. Thank you. How many minutes do I have left?
2 minutes and 50 seconds.
Okay, we're gonna try it. Okay, we're gonna try for a second one. This is called I Am a Wire. I am a copper liar. I have a copper wire strung up inside me like out-of-season Christmas lights. Or rather wedged like a broken umbrella we thought would send us soaring over this world of responsibilities. But it's not a party. It's just me taking responsibility for this world that won't respond to me. I am a copper liar, play me how you will, pluck inside my darkness till your notes settle still. Last April, I let the shame run out and down this messy body who is me. It took the form of pee. It was a sharp, bright fear in the ragged, blooming spring sun. Now I'm hiking up Middle Prong Trail, along the middle prong of Little River, with a prong inside me. Not up the middle, kind of canted over to the right. A subtle stabbing I carry with me. I've got a prong inside me, not to say a fork. Tune me, toss me, wrong me, right me, magnetize me, plug me with a cork. I am a copper liar. A wire ties me to heterosexuality, seemingly. Inverse of the Statue of Liberty in her thin copper sheath, now patinaed green, I have taken into me an injury they said would prevent time from sedimenting. Keep that swirl of solid love draining on past me, leaving me free. I am a copper liar, telling truths already banned, shoved back into the unspeakable, hedged against the unplanned. I am a queer, sheerly abutting hypocrisy. Pick a path or widen the road, they say. Thanks, but I'll keep weaving back and forth, weaving the ways together. I am the scars that mark me, but they don't make me. I am the wound and I grow past it. I am alive, I am a wire, I will connect, I will catch fire.
Thank you so much, Michelle. That was awesome. That second poem's insane. All right, I'm not supposed to editorialize. I set those rules myself, but so interesting. Our next writer, I emailed on just a flight. Like I was like, hey, do you happen to be free? And he just told me that manically he responded, yeah, I'll be doing PopCon all weekend and I'll just drop by after doing that all weekend. And I'm so grateful to almost introduce Maurice Broaddus, whose one-sentence book art recommendation is Angel Down by Daniel Kraus, or, which is two-sentence book art recommendation, that's how you get around it, Michelle. Every single person does an or in the middle. Or Buffalo Hunter Hunter by Stephen Graham Jones. Please help me welcome Maurice Broaddus.
Thank you, everybody. And congrats to Daniel Kraus, who just won the Pulitzer last week for Angel Down, which is no pressure at all. Hey, my friend just won a Pulitzer last week. I'm going to be reading an excerpt from a short story. An editor wrote me and said, hey, could you write, we're going to do this anthology of the classic Hollywood monsters. Would you write a story about that? And I was like, sure. He's like, which one you want to do? I said, I'll do The Invisible Man. And he said, oh, can't wait to see it. I'm like, so I'm going to write The Invisible Man through the lens of Ralph Ellison's Invisible Man while I've been reading James Baldwin. He said, sure, send that. Okay. So here's an excerpt from The Invisible Man, The Fire This Time. Mr. Mann turned his gaze to the Brooks Brothers suit in complete silence. Like spying an alien bug, he waited to peel from his shoe. An excruciating pause to allow the comment to fester in the open. See, this is exactly what we've been talking about. You're too serious. People don't feel like they're able to connect with you. You're just not management material. The blonde Bob glided a thick folder over to the Brooks Brothers suit and he patted it. Complaints to HR, evaluations from colleagues, the ammunition of administration. So we're letting you go. Fired, just like that. Mr. Mann had the wrong complexion for the connection or the protection. Mr. Mann's face darkened in an inscrutable thundercloud. He stood. I patted the air, urging him to calm down. We became visible through a certain lens, in this case, his potential for violence. The Brooks Brothers suit stepped back. The blonde Bob had punched 9 and 1 into her phone when 2 members of the in-house security team stepped into the room. We didn't want to take the chance that you'd get all angry, so they'll escort you out so there won't be a scene. Afraid that the black man might go crazy in the boardroom, Mr. Mann said. Oh, I don't see color. See, you brought race into this, so you're the real racist. The Brooks Brothers suit took a seat at the head of the table. You act like we're not in the room, but we're here. We're always here, and you will see us. Refusing to accept their definitions of him, he shrugged off the guiding hands of the guards to walk out on his own terms. Not that anyone noticed, but I followed them out. I caught up to them at the elevators. Hey, I'm sorry about that. This is every black person's rite of passage. Welcome to the story. The words cut deep, clawing at a truth just beneath my skin, something demanding to burst out of me. I understood him, though. He hated the person they, with their damnable system, twisted him into. Found a whole new ways to emasculate him, deny his humanity, lynch his spirit. I hated the way he'd been characterized. Bitter, whining. They reduced him by inches until there was nothing left of him. Sometimes it made him so angry he just wanted to give them a taste of what they'd done to him, his family, his people. We sat in a coffee shop while I pondered possibilities. It couldn't end this way. Not when we were so close. Convinced that the Brooks Brothers suit could be reasoned with, I thought it best to just give the situation one last attempt to see if I could broker a conversation between him and Mr. Mann. Plead his case. So we waited in the underground parking lot. Water pooled underneath the nearby concrete pylon. A greenish mold flourished under a severe crack that splintered its side. The garage lights sputtered through their protective grates, leaving pools of shadow throughout the garage. The elevator deposited the Brooks Brothers suit behind the glass enclosure of the parking garage lobby. As he clambered out, I waved at him. He held up his finger and having apparently forgot something, ducked back into the elevator. We can afford to be patient, I offered. Mr. Mann said nothing. The dark shadows of the garage lit up with a red and blue tint. A patrol car slowed to a stop in front of the elevators. The Brooks Brothers suit dashed out to the officers and pointed toward us. You've got to be kidding me, Mr. Mann said with a bored tenor of a person who'd seen this show before. Sir, hands where we can see them. The first officer pointed at him with his left hand while his right unholstered his gun. Here Mr. Mann was, an executive, in a suit that cost more than their weekly pay. Clean-cut, professional, the epitome of the American dream. But when they saw him, the police didn't pause to check his credit rating first. In the sights of the police, we were never invisible. They guarded and protected their systems, the power, the privilege, with the slavish devotion of a well-trained dog. They knew their job. The same message. Stay where you belong, spelled out in every stop and frisk, or detainment for questioning. His partner crept around the other way to flank us. Sir, I'm not going to tell you again. The first officer drew his gun and unlatched its safety. So my father named me Khalid after himself. Like most parents, he tried to shield me from what he knew waited to devour me. He tried to give me all the tools and trainings I needed to survive in this world. And I was 8 when he gave me the talk, the one about how to survive a police encounter. I raised my hands. And if I could, I'd have placed them at the 10 to 2 position with the car light on so they could clearly see my hands. And make no movements, because even an errant twitch might make the officers fear for their lives. Be I 8 or 11, when black boy stopped presenting as cute and morphed into a vague threat. Or 18, or elder. Raising his hands, Mr. Mann's mask began to slip, the one he carefully wore not to betray the depths of his pain, a pain so old and so deep, they were never able to see him, not who he truly was. A man, a father, a brother, a son, a businessman. All he wanted was to just be. Without being seen as a threat, without having managers trail him through a store, without causing officers to fear for their lives, and part of him broke one final time. The act is to be committed, but committed free men automatically become an endangered species, Mr. Mann whispered.
Finish it up.
Okay. His words like a sacred chant calling down the chorus of the ancestors, their spirits stirring at his call. In remembrance, they hounded us from our villages, passed us from trader to slave ship, but we were never far from the ocean's call, its freedom pumping through our veins. We became more ghosts than man, wearing chains. Our tongues knew the secret language of survival, while we marched from plantation fields to prison farms. We sang the dirge of Jim Crow as it carved a red line through our hearts and towns until we couldn't breathe. I just wanted to breathe, to enjoy a free breath. He was made of light and carried him wherever he went. All they saw was a shadow where a man had once been. Gravity warped around him. He transfigured into a black light, both particle, a black force particle, a wave bending until undetectable. He couldn't be seen because he moved in a new reality. Quantum blackness unlocked.
All right. That is the first and last time that's ever going to happen, but come on. Am I going to stop Maurice Broaddus? Thank you. Thank you. Our next reader today is going to be C.S. Carrier, and his one-sentence book art recommendation is, I recommend Kiss the Eyes of Peace by Tomas Solomon. Special translation, translated by Brian Henry. Everyone, please help me welcome C.S. Carrier.
Hello. I hope you're all well. Michelle was like, say this, say this, say this, and I'm trying to remember what I'm supposed to say. Nightjars at the Tube Factory, or CAMI, it's now called, down in Garfield Park. And you can find us on Instagram. Just search Nightjar. It's a bunch of underscores. We also have a Facebook page, which is probably pretty similar. I'm going to read 3 poems from a longer sequence called Past Lives. The fillets are frozen. I toss one in the batter with my left hand. With my right, I use the tongs to flip it for even coverage. I lift it up, shake it a few times, place the fillet in the near left corner of the fryer. The burner kicks on. I batter another, glide it over the oil to the far left corner. I go clockwise until I've dropped 20 pieces. I scrape the batter from the batter tray lid back into the tray. I skim the crumblies from the fryer with the lifter, make a bed of them in the food warmer. I separate the fused fillets with the scraper, shake them 10 times when they're done. I announce hot fish before putting them in the warmer. They glisten like gold diamonds, as ideal as any on the menu. The Rescuers was my first movie in a theater. I was 4. The second was Star Wars. Then E.T., Back to the Future, Star Trek IV, Terminator 2, Beetlejuice. My go-to snacks were popcorn and Coke, sometimes a Butterfinger. I saw Tim Burton's Batman at the Camelot in Waynesville. A giant bat signal saturated the sidewalk. Camelot had an all-night fear fest for Halloween. I hooked up with M, who used to make fun of my teeth, after we admitted we actually liked each other. I saw The Matrix in the theater twice, The Fellowship of the Ring 3 times. I saw Signs 5 times. Not that it was necessarily great, but I loved movies and movie-going especially. Maybe I was also lonely or avoidant. Maybe I craved comfort. I saw Titanic after a breakup, Casino Royale after Papaw's funeral, Avatar the day my brother deployed to Iraq. I slouched in the seats, the floor stuck to my shoes. The dark tucked around me, the screen lit up. I went somewhere else. I came back to life. I live in a mobile home in Cullowhee, Cherokee for Place of the Lilies or the Two Sparrows, where a giant warrior sleeps once upon a time. The Cherokee word for home is Owenesu. Crow is Koga. I love the one calling in the field, the sun explodes, the fire chars the crow's plumage, hollows out the sycamore. Another thunderstorm barrels through. What I think of when I think of home is petrichor. I make a lot of spaghetti with ragu. I bring home a lot of Long John Silver's leftovers. I eat crackers with peanut butter when I have nothing else. I have a gray tabby named Dylan Thomas. One morning, the Tuckasegee inches up to the door. We're helpless. We have a curious relationship with water. Thank you.
Booth just had a contest for both. Booth is a journal in town run by the Butler MFA, and they just had a contest for fiction and for poetry. And the poem that won was a bunch of seemingly unrelated monostitches that were like rules for husbandry. That last poem kind of like reminded me of that, seemingly unrelated until the very end. Brilliant. Our next and final reader of the night is Damon. The one-sentence book art recommendation is also very good. It's No Name's 2023 album, Sundial, which is a melodic movement of marvelous bars and music. Please help me welcome Damon.
I'm Damon. Hi. I'm really nervous. I haven't done this in a while. This earth was birthed from shadows of a universe born of chaos, and it'll die with the same odds. A treacherous roll of a synchronized global seance at each corner of the world with messages planted that the scope of the antics is to create a cloak of the planet to shield it from incoming ultimate damage. But what the average won't understand is the mix of the mystical mastery of the elements and numbers game can lead some to aim past the sun's running flames in realization that there's enough dark matter in this pocket of this corner of the solar system that could be compressed into a power source to fit into a locket and used as a path to lead star shooters past the white dwarfs and red giants of the Milky Way galaxy. So now you see from the beginning this rock that we inhabit was bound to be a power pack, fueled by a conquered conglomerate of casualties. Whether traveled or road not taken, it all leads to the same fate in the end. All routes converge to the same white hole, light ripping through the fabric of space, spewing the universe recycled upon a void canvas to relay the interstellar landscaping in a renewed image of existence. Tales of old worlds painted as fainting pictures in the distance, astral projections never to be viewed as vivid depictions, but to be witnessed in passing visions with heads towards the sky, focused on the stars disappearing behind the blankets of ash flowing from volcanic faucets. Thus the results of a god trying to save a timeless game with only one to blame, thy knows who lost it. When experiencing this existence, patience is required to absorb all of this. Thank you. I sped right there. What was that, like 2 minutes?
Sure was.
Perfect. This one's short. Every winter, I survive like the trees. It begins in autumn with my fruit and leaves falling away from me. With all my attraction gone, I stand there all alone and listen to the wind as it whistles me a song. The cool air informs me that winter will soon arrive. Then I begin my preparations to make it through alive, for those frigid months always wear me down to my core. As I implode on those close to my heart, it sinks to the floor. While elements battle, I find myself in a no man's land, a frozen tree in a barren field making its own grandstand. Holding it all in, keeping my roots strong for the moment that I can again bloom, blossom, and rejoice in the solstice. Thank you. I'm Damon Jones. You have a good day.
Hey, Damon Jones, I'll end on a solstice. That was beautiful. I have a couple more thank yous really quickly. One, thank you to Bethany Lowry for taking pictures. If there are no pictures on the internet, it did not happen. Thank you to JD Amick and Logan Taylor for consistently doing things like driving back to my house after we already get here because I forgot the flowers, which all of the readers are welcome to one. Please take them, open mic and featured readers. Thank you once again to John Strauss, without whom this does not exist. It does not happen. And most importantly, thank you so much for being here. Thank you.
This has been Real Life Revised, a series of readings with Indiana writers, produced by Sam Ferrante and John Strauss, in partnership with Indiana Humanities, the Butler MFA in Creative Writing, Booth Magazine, and WQRT Radio.